Good morning, everybody. It's your cousin Rogan. I just woke up. I'm actually drinking coffee. Having trouble catching my breath. I'll be all right. So I thought I would address a couple of things that you, my friends, have said in comments. A couple of you guys hadn't been here the whole time, and I'm not sure it's really clear. But this thing with my heart trouble being, I've been told to expect to die. Um, So I have a lot of reasons to be depressed. My entire life is train wrecked because of this illness, and before that, because I got divorced, and that's just 10 years of life story. But I'm dealing with my crazy daughter. My family have all quit speaking to me. I got a lot of reasons to feel bad that aren't just being like clinically depressed, but naturally, I am something like depressed, and I'm also naturally cheerful and ebullient. And it's not the very shortest version of this is that when I was a toddler, I had a major episode of food poisoning. And it's caused me a bunch of health problems. I have lifelong chronic digestive system issues. I have an immune system disorder, an autoimmune disorder called ankylosing spondylitis, which is triggered by childhood food poisoning, and is actually in I don't know if remission is the right word when it's AS, but ankylosing spondylitis is not crippling me anymore, but it has in the past. So I don't have medical science to back this opinion of myself and my issues. I think my nervous system was slightly damaged by the food poisoning. I'm not comfortable. It's like being conscious at all is an itch that I can't scratch. I just don't like being alive. And at the same time, you can tell talking to me that I have a temper and I'm moody, but I'm committed to not wanting to be alive, even when I'm in a good mood. And I pretty much always have been. There's a stretch for 10 or 20 years where things were going fairly well in my life, but I don't think I would have said entirely dissimilar things for most of that stretch. It was maybe about 5 or 6 years towards the end of my marriage, and when my daughter Red moved in, where I never talked like that or thought like that, but things got worse again. Um, so, so at this point, because of the way things train wrecked in Tampa, it's like alarms going off all the time. And for a few years before that, after I got divorced, I it's like fingernails on a chalkboard all the time. I think, and it dovetails into the depression in such a way that I often have described it as, at the worst, feeling like everyone I've ever loved is standing around me yelling at me to kill myself now. Um, I have to just try to ignore it and take my mind off it and medicate it, of course. I like drugs. I used to be a serious drinker. There's a lot of ways that drugs can treat this weird sort of background, trapped in a nightmare feeling that is pervasive. I just always feel bad. And like I said, I think it's because of the childhood food poisoning incident. So, so now, like, things are shot in such a way in my life that it's exhausting and troublesome to even just stay calm and cool enough to do anything. Um, that is to say, on top of my background weird depression issue, which I think is sort of organic and tissue based, and not like about my mental state. Now, my mental state is now also train wrecked. So uh, I don't quite believe. I mean, you can see me. I'm having bad days and good days, but slowly but surely my health is curving towards better. Uh, when I talk about the doctors telling me I'm going to die at the end of May, I'm half being sarcastic. Well, I just don't believe them. I mean, I, I have some reasons to believe them. But I mean, for one thing, they told me that ejection fraction is the name of the test. I think they use a ultrasound. It's how they test how your heart's capacity for doing its job. Has to do with how much blood is pumping through your heart with each beat. Um, they measure how far out it goes, like the beating heart on the picture. It's cool looking. So, so they told me my ejection fraction is between 5 and 10%, which is something like 15 or 20% of your normal capacity, depending normal wanders. It's like blood pressure, but it's crazy low. Uh, but they also like I've had these experiences like I go in to see these heart doctors and they tell me with an ejection fraction like that I'm gonna die if I don't take 8 different medications and put on a life vest. Uh, but then they're also like, wait a minute, you walked in here because with an ejection fraction that lousy, you shouldn't be able to walk at all. And I'll be like, well, I'm riding a bike some of the time on the good days. Like I'm not I can stand for 4 or 5 hours while I'm working, or at least I was a couple weeks ago. It's so whatever's wrong with me, I'm not quite sure they they know. I'm not sure. I'm congestive heart failure is what I've been just diagnosed with, but uh, I also didn't experience any of the things that are supposed to trigger congestive heart failure. So I think there's an outside chance I have some really odd, rare variant of heart trouble like mine, and that no one has actually spotted the clues. Because if the test indicates I should be that much more wrecked than I am, I shouldn't be able to walk around. Like they thought I should be in a wheelchair. So I'm not. In fact, I can walk 5 miles without really worrying about it. I have. So, in fact, when I left Pennsylvania, I walked 30 miles in 2 days. So yeah, I'm a little bit being fatalistic and resigned and trying to put my mental affairs in order. Um, and I'm a little bit, I just don't believe that I really am going to die from this. Um, but telling myself I am going to die is really effective for fighting the depression and the background physical, what I suspect is a background physical condition, a nervous damage kind of thing. Uh, I'm keeping it all at bay and keeping it all under control, in part by telling myself, like, I get upset and I'm like, you know what? Stay cool, man. You're going to be dead soon. It's the same way, like, if you're at work and it's driving you nuts to be at work at all, and it's the worst day ever at work, and it's a fucking nightmare. At some point, you start telling yourself, "I just got to make it to 5 o'clock, and I'll clock out. It's just this day is almost over. I just got to make it to 3 o'clock." Except with me, that feeling is it's life. Like I keep telling myself, like I start to cry, I start to get upset, I start to think about the way my family have betrayed me and my friends, and then I think like it's good, man. They did the damage they're going to do. You're going to die soon. You've already lost those battles. You don't have to stress it. Everything from this point forward is gravy and bonus checks. So, Jesus, I shouldn't have a smoker's cough. I'm coughing and having trouble breathing because of the heart trouble. Um, so yeah, that's kind of a weird, complicated attitude or position to try to explain. Um, and I'm not even sure I'm strictly speaking suicidal. I just want it to be over. Like if had an option that was hitting the reset button and going again in a different life in a different world, that's what I would prefer. And I'm not gonna kill myself. It's probably 6 months ago, 9 months ago, really a couple of years ago, because of the trouble with Red, I just decided I need to kill myself. And I spent, when I was living in the parking lot after that, this is about 4 or 5 years ago now, I spent a good deal of time just sitting still and praying for the strength to end it. The guts, praying for the cowardice to get out of my way. Cowardly about killing myself. And I'm not cowardly because I'm afraid of death. I'm cowardly because I'm afraid of making it worse. Like, if I shoot myself or I take an overdose of pills and it just does medical damage and leaves me alive, then that's worse. So I already don't have family who will take care of this illness, let alone like taking care of me if I'm like entirely crippled and brain damaged with half my skull gone or something. Or in a coma. I don't know what happens if you end up in a coma from a pill overdose when you don't have insurance. But I bet the outcomes aren't great. So I'm not going to kill myself, and I can't really. But I want to be dead. So yeah, there's this weird sense in which talking about how the heart failure is going to kill me soon cheers me up and focuses me and keeps me from derailing mentally and emotionally. Because the other thing I'm telling myself is I don't have time for this. Is again the work metaphor. Like if you're having personal problems in such a way, you work in a restaurant or retail, that you just got to sit down and cry, and you don't want to stop sitting down and crying, at some point somebody's going to be like, dude, get up. We need you to work. Like, there's work to do. You got to save this for after you clock out. And that's sort of like what I'm doing with myself now. Like I sort of wobble, and I feel emotionally really distressed. I'm not medicated, right? I'm not taking antidepressants or smoking weed regularly now, so I'm way too prone to just sit still and cry, and not even be able to do so much as brush my teeth. And I'm getting it under control and keeping it under control in part by telling myself, just save it for later, man. You're not going to gain anything by being too upset to function right now, and you may not have much time left, and that's a good thing. So just relax and work. Get your work done. Clock out, and get out of here. Don't worry about when the buzzer goes off, but know that it will go off soon, and let that be a comfort to you. So it's sort of a complicated, like, it's not like the short version is I've always been suicidal and depressed, and the congestive heart failure is very likely to kill me soon. But the details are illuminating. Like everything I just said for the last 12 minutes is, I hope, makes it a little more clear why. Like, because I don't think I'm naturally depressive. I think I'm naturally cheerful, actually, if a little amped. And like, I think this weird, like, sort of ups and downs thing I do emotionally, where I have days where I work 20 hours and then days where I just have to sit still and try not to cry. Like, a little bit of that is just normal with me. But there's a point past which I think I feel bad because of that food poisoning incident. And yeah, it's just not comfortable for me to be alive. I just want to crawl out of my skin. Yeah, it's just not comfortable. Can't relax. So maybe, I hope that's a little illuminating. I've just gone on for 14 minutes, but I don't want anyone to worry about me. I'm fine. That's yeah, that's all I got to say about that, I guess, for now, though. If I'm going to keep making videos, I'll probably have to explain most of this again in similar terms every few months, because what happens is people find my videos and they start watching this vlog and they're like, yeah, what's really wrong, man? Can you fix this? Can you do this way? And like, I am really happy to have that advice and input. I don't have friends and family here who can be that kind of helpful, but I don't want anyone to think either that my problem is merely a serious illness that is definitely going to kill me, because that's not the case. And I don't want anyone to think my problem is just a kind of a middling serious, but still functional mental health problem, like a depression issue. That's actually not, it seems like I do have like a depression and mood swings issue. It's not really the case. Yeah, I mean, I've got mental health issues, but this clinical depression, or what seems to be clinical depression, is that's what's really going on here. Um, I'd love to. I mean, I don't. I'm pretty sure like I'll go to a neurologist and explain that I think that food poisoning caused most of my emotional and physical problems. He'd probably be like, "Yep, you're right. That'll be $2,000." So I'm bothered. And if I stay medicated right, it's okay. Like mainly, I got to take stimulants to take my mind off. Like so, I can be a workaholic, and that takes my mind off most of this creepiness that infests my whole body and mind. And normally I smoke a lot of weed. It keeps me quiet. Alcohol works, opiates work, but they are so much more troubling and troublesome and problematic than smoking weed. Uh, right now, I'm really broke. Like I don't have a job or any income. Um, my roommates are basically sort of taking care of me. I've managed to give them I don't know, like $200 or something in the last 6 months because I keep getting fired from these jobs. So, um, all right, 16 minutes, really, Rogan. This wasn't worth 16 minutes, but I'd rather talk about things besides myself, which is funny because if I make videos about movies, nobody watches them. If I make videos like this, people watch them. I mean, it's nice. I don't have friends here, so that you are my friends it's not just nice, it's probably essential for me to be okay and survive at this point.